Hey guys, it's me, Carina. So I promised I was going to do this Q&A today, and then I forgot. So I'm literally not wearing any makeup except what I forgot to wash off last night. So apologies for that. I picked some of the best questions, a lot of them actually, from the Twitter Q&A that we did. I'm avoiding original spoilers and super shippery, controversial questions that are going to get me in trouble for obvious reasons. But the rest of the questions were really awesome, so here we go. The first one is pick 3 television characters you would write off immediately from a show that's currently on the air. And I can't do that because I don't watch enough TV right now. I'm literally so behind on everything, but today is sort of our first day of hiatus, so hopefully I'll catch up. But the person that I think of, and don't kill me, I would write Felicity off of Arrow, and then I would steal Emily and put her on our show because I miss her a lot. The next one is, the wedding scene was beautifully done. Did y'all know right off how things should go, or did it take many different write-ups? That scene specifically, the Josh and Aiden beats at the beginning took some sort of finessing, and they're different. It's a little different. What you saw is a little different from what was actually scripted because we had to change some stuff in post-production, but it worked out really well. And then the rest of the wedding actually went exactly as scripted in our first draft. Like, the wedding vows are pretty much the same as the first draft. And all the looks, the thing I love about that scene so much is that all the looks that play from Haley to Klaus to Jackson to Haley to Elijah, all of that was scripted, and it was just beautifully executed by our actors and our director, Matt Hastings, who's also one of the co-EPs on our show. He's great. Or maybe an EP. I don't know. What have you learned about the TV industry and or writing now that you're a TV writer compared to when you wrote about TV? So I used to be sort of a TV critic / blogger for first the LA Times and then Zap to It. And I've learned so much about the limitations of writing for TV, sort of the confines that you have to work in, and the pressure from the network or the actors or the audience, and difficulties as far as time or budget. I mean, basically it's a lot harder than I thought it was. And sometimes I'll look back now on a critique that I had and I'll realize, oh, it was because of this actor's schedule, or it was because of this budget issue. And so basically it's a lot harder than I thought. Yes or no, who do you think is best for Alpha, Jackson or Aiden? Just choose one. First of all, that is not yes or no. And I choose Aiden. This is from my friend Rebecca Searle, who is a fantastic author. Her book, The Edge of Falling, is right over there. And she said, what is your favorite think piece ever written on Gossip Girl? And I used to cover Gossip Girl when I was at Zap to It, so I didn't really read things that other people were writing about Gossip Girl because I was too focused on my own stuff that I was writing about Gossip Girl. So I'm going to be really full of myself and say that there are 2 pieces I wrote about Gossip Girl that I'm still really proud of. One of them was a piece on why Chuck Bass was an abusive boyfriend, which I still stand by. He was the worst. And another was a write-up on the finale about how the finale just ruined everything ever, and I'll never forgive them for it. Google Gossip Girl, Zap to It, finale, or Gossip Girl, Zap to It, Chuck Bass abusive, or whatever, and you can read them. But I was very passionate about it. What is your sleep schedule? It's very bad. People are often very shocked when they hear how long I can go without sleep. And that doesn't mean that it's healthy that I go that long without sleep. It's just that I can without sort of collapsing. I try to get at least 4 hours a night, but there are days. I think when I flew to Atlanta last time, I got 2 hours of sleep on a red eye, and then I didn't sleep, and that was Thursday night, and then I didn't sleep until sometime Saturday afternoon, when it was another 2 hours of sleep. Anyway, don't be like me, kids. Is there a character on the originals who you hate? No. Who was the best player at your paintball game? I don't know. So me and a bunch of the originals cast and crew went and played paintball last weekend. I am still completely black and blue. My whole body looks like it was tie-dyed. And I don't really know who was the best player because we were playing this. First, we played a game that was like, if you get shot once, you're out, and we were all out really quickly. And then we decided to play sort of just our group, because that was the first one was like with a huge group of people. And then we narrowed it down to like our group and a few other people that we didn't know. And we were playing a version of the game called Iron Man, which means you just stay in as long as you possibly can until you either run out of paintball bullets or until you can no longer take the pain. And we stayed in for a really long time. I do know that the best paintball outfits went to Charles Michael Davis, who was in like head-to-toe camo and looked like he was ready for war, and Colin Woodell, who was visiting Atlanta for a really short time that time and didn't have a lot of clothes, so he went to a thrift store and bought like the most ridiculous 2 small sweatpants and a shirt with, I think, a wolf or a cat, a big sweatshirt, and a bandana that was dollar bills. He had the best outfit, which is obviously the most important thing about paintball. It was fun. It was a good Saturday. Who do you find scarier, Eva Sinclair or Dahlia? Dahlia is scarier, but I can't wait for you guys to see the next episode because Maisie Richardson Sellers plays Eva Sinclair in the most magical way. It's like one of my favorite episodes we've ever had. It airs next Monday, so April 6th. Don't miss it. It's bananas. My favorite part of being a writer on the originals is the people. The other writers are some of my best friends and people that I look up to in a way that I can't even describe because it's like too cheesy and they'll never let me live it down. But I feel so lucky that this is the first show that I've ever worked on, and I would happily stay with these people forever until I'm old and gray and don't know how to write anymore. And the cast and the crew is fantastic too, but honestly the other writers are, and the things that I've learned from them and their patience and their kindness and their genius, I'm so grateful. Who's your favorite character to write for and who's the most difficult? This season my favorite character to write for has been Aiden and sort of the Aiden-Josh combo. I haven't gotten to do it that much because they're like smaller characters, and so you balance out with all of the bigger characters. But I thought that storyline, I feel really strongly about that storyline and love those characters. I love working with Steven and Colin. As far as our series regular characters, I have a soft spot for Haley. I love her, and I feel, again, I feel really passionate about that story and love working with Phoebe, obviously. The most difficult character for me to write for is Elijah. I love writing Elijah. It's not that I don't love it. I totally love it. I second guess myself a lot when I write Elijah. I'm never really sure if it's gonna come out in his voice because his voice is the most different from my voice. But I'm learning and working a lot with Daniel Gillies, so it's cool. And the challenge is fun, obviously. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you miss Daniel Sharman? I don't miss him at all. He was terrible. Just a real nightmare to have on set. Hate him. I actually don't miss Daniel as much as you might think I would because Daniel lives on my street, so we see each other plenty. He's currently in New York filming a pilot, and my last text message to him was a string of I miss yous, so I do miss him, but he'll be back. What's one place you've always wanted to travel to in the world? Greece. I've never been to Greece or Rome, but I am potentially planning a trip with some of the originals cast this summer, so we'll see if that actually works out. We're all very busy. Do you have a favorite person on set? Yes. My friend Eva McKenna is the producer's assistant, I think is her official title. She basically is the person who makes sure that everything doesn't fall apart at all times. And she is one of my favorite people, not just on set, but on the earth. I love her to death, and she's the first sort of person that I call when I get to Atlanta. Who is your favorite fictional character? I have two. One is Sam Winchester, and I will defend that until I die. And the other is Marcus Flutie from Megan McCafferty's Jessica Darling series of YA novels. Marcus Flutie is the dream. He's just the best boy ever in the world. One show you can't relate to at all. I've been thinking about this question, and I can't think of one that I can't relate to on any level. I'm sure that there is one, but I don't watch it. One show that I've is hard for me to like understand. I don't really understand the actually no, that'll get me in trouble. I'm not gonna do it. Blueberries or strawberries? This is an easier question. Strawberries. Favorite Taylor Swift song from 1989? Blank space. And I think that's mostly because of like the fun that I've had with my friends listening to it in the car or walking through West Hollywood blasting it from Daniel Sharman's phone or screaming it at Uber drivers or whatever. What's your favorite breed of dog? I don't have a favorite breed of dog because I like mutts. I like them to be scruffy and scraggly and look weird. I have a weird looking dog and I think he's the best thing ever. What is the craziest thing that Daniel did on set? So I thought this was about Daniel Gillies at first, but then I saw that the little icon in your name was Daniel Sharman. So I think, so I don't know anything that he did on set because Daniel is a very intense actor. He actually kind of scared me a little bit when we were filming his final episode because he got so into it that it was like he was gone. It was like he was already dead. It was very scary and unsettling for me. He had his headphones on. He was really emotional. He stood in the cold and didn't have his stand-in come in while they were lighting, and he just poured his heart into it. So he's not crazy on set. He's funny, but he's not crazy. He works really hard. One funny story, though, from that, I can't remember if it was that episode or the previous episode, but there's this 24-hour diner in Atlanta. I think maybe it's in Decatur, but we would go there after we wrap really late because we would go eat pancakes, Daniel and I and our friend Eva. And once we went, and Daniel he'd gotten in a fight in the episode, so he had fake bruises and blood all over the place, and he didn't take it off before he went to the diner. And we go to this late night diner at 3 a.m. He's got his hood up, so he just looks and all bruised up. He just looked like trouble, the worst nightmare kind of kid. And it was really funny because all of the other patrons of the diner were like, who is this guy? And can we sit far away from him? And that made me laugh. He refused to take off his makeup. Sorry, I'm talking very fast. What would you say your favorite TV shows that you're currently watching are besides originals and The Vampire Diaries? Chasing Life on ABC Family, which just had its finale. Highly recommend everybody watch that. It's so good. It's so thoughtful and well written, and it's about a girl who's in her mid-20s, which I think is sort of and she still lives with her family. She's very close with her mom, and is just sort of embarking on her dream career, and she gets cancer. And I think that it's just one of the most honest and well-paced shows on TV right now. And Natalia Ricci stars, who's fantastic. I also really love The Fosters. I think it's telling the best gay and lesbian stories on TV. Again, ABC Family, killing it right now. And I think that's really important. It's really progressive and really smart. And I also love The Good Wife. I never miss an episode of The Good Wife, even though it tore my heart out last year. How do you overcome writer's block? I think I don't get writer's block as much as a lot of people do. I used to in college, but part of it is you're writing about one thing and you're in a room full of people who are pitching ideas, so it's never there's a dearth of ideas. But when I am feeling a little blocked, music and taking a walk and calling my mom. But yeah, I don't have any magical tricks. What was your favorite episode to write and the most heartbreaking that's aired? My favorite episode to write was I Love You Goodbye, episode 214, which was Haley and Jackson's wedding and the tragic death of Cole. And I actually begged my bosses to let me write this one. Literally, I think I went into Mike Narducci's office and I was put me in, coach. He understands sports metaphors. But yeah, I really wanted it so badly because I love those characters. I love Jackson and Haley, and I felt so strongly that I knew how Cole's story, how to sort of craft the end of Cole's story. A lot of it didn't end up on the screen because our first cut of the episode was like 20 minutes over, but I'm hoping that you guys get to see an extended version or deleted scenes on the DVD. That one was the one for me that was the most important to me this season. Not that they're not all important, they are, but that one I sort of bled all over. And the most heartbreaking that's aired, I think maybe the last season's finale broke my heart a little bit. There's one that's coming up that is just a killer that I cried all over. Of the script, I cried on set. I cried thinking about it in my car. I don't even know. You'll see. That's ominous, right? Sorry. Okay. Will we see Elijah struggling against the red door again, or is that storyline already finished? I didn't want to answer spoiler questions, but this one isn't super spoilery. I think that Elijah's red door is now just something that's part of him. It's something that he's going to have to struggle with every day about, as far as like whether he can sort of compartmentalize the things that he does and whether he can justify the things that he does. And I think there's just sort of now there's this underlying streak of darkness that he maybe was suppressing for a long time. So yes, we'll see Elijah grappling with the red door and adjusting to life without it a little bit as we move forward. What's a scene on your show and a different one you wish you'd written? On our show, the scene I think I wish I'd written is all of the Josh and Aiden scenes that I didn't write because I love them. And the scene on a different show that I wish I'd written, the first one that comes to mind is the series finale of the OC. The whole episode I wish I'd written because I didn't like it, except for the last like act. I could have done better. Probably not back then, but like now. Whatever. I'm gonna get in trouble for that. Which showrunners and writers do you want to work with? I would love to work with Greg Berlanti. I would love to work with Jason Katims. And I would really, 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 really love to work with Sarah Gamble. She was always really nice to me when she was on Supernatural and I was a journalist. And I think that she's just a badass woman in a man's world and just really creative and cool. And I watched her. She was on this reality show called Project Greenlight that Ben Affleck and Matt Damon did like years and years ago. And she was on it. She was one of the contestants for a script. And I just want to be friends with her. If you could only wear one nail polish color for the rest of your life, what brand of color would it be? It would be really, really bright cherry red because I feel like that is sort of timeless, but I don't know which brand of color. Which famous friend of yours would be the least help on a desert island? At first, I was going to say Colton Haynes because I feel like he would be like totally panicked without his hair gel and his extensive closet of ridiculous clothes. But he would be entertaining on desert island. So I guess I'm going to go with, I don't know. I'm looking at my bulletin board at my pictures right now to see which one of my famous friends would be bad. Yeah, Colton would probably be bad because after a while he would not be entertaining anymore. And then what would you do? He wouldn't be able to build anything. Which cast member of the originals and the Vampire Diaries do you hang out with the most? I don't know. Depends on what city we're in. College rule or wide rule? This is very difficult, but college rule. Will we get more hybrid Haley scenes? Yep. Name a movie that you associate with Klaus. Heat. Look it up. Besides you, who's the funniest person on set? It's me. I'm hilarious. Um, actually, okay, the funniest person on set is actually Trevor White, who is, I don't, like an AD or I don't know what no, he's not an AD. He's like a camera operator. I don't know what all the positions are called. He does the slate. And a lot of other things. And sometimes he pulls focus, because he's really good at that too. Anyway, Trevor White, he's the funniest person on set. I cry every time he speaks. I laugh so hard. Everything that comes out of his mouth is hilarious. And when it's a super late night and it's cold and it's raining, he's the guy you want to have on set because he makes it all worth it. Is it hard to get into TV, entertainment, journalism? How did you start working in this area? So people ask me a lot how I got into it, but I sort of tripped and fell on it. I was in a job that I hated, and my roommate was writing for the LA Times at the time, and she asked me if I wanted to recap a little show called The Vampire Diaries for the show tracker site. And so I did a couple of recaps. Kevin and Julie really liked my work, and then the CW reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to interview Kevin. He was my first interview ever. I was so nervous. I freaked out. And then from there, it just kind of snowballed, and I jumped on board with Zap to it. But I didn't go to journalism school, as I think a lot of other journalists would be quick to point out to you. And I always kind of just looked at it as fun, and I'm so grateful for the time that I had and the people that I met and the experience that I got. But yeah, I think if I was going to give anybody advice, it would just be get to LA and blog your heart out, because being able to prove that you can write and that you can critique and that you can review and recap is really easy if you've been blogging yourself. That would be my little advice. Why can't Haley have more kids? I don't understand why. They are the same species as Klaus, correct? Biology should work the same way. No, because Haley is not an original vampire. She was not turned into a vampire with the spell that Klaus was turned into a vampire with. So Klaus basically is different from all other hybrids and different from all other vampires and different from all other werewolves. And also because we said so. There's no science to this. Like, there is no biology to it. It's just the story. It's a story. And sometimes it is just because magic works that way, because vampires aren't real. So we could sit and debate vampire biology for 1,000 years. It wouldn't really matter because they're not real and we made it up. But their biology does not work the same way as other vampires, because other vampires die from just plain old wood. These vampires don't. Other vampires can have their hearts ripped out and their heads cut off. These vampires can't. So there are differences that we've, played all along, and just seems like the fertility difference is the one that causes the most conflict online, to put it nicely. Is there any chance to have Nina Dobrev for Catherine flashbacks on the originals? I don't know, but I can say that everyone really, really loved having Nina on set, and she was super professional, and we love her. It was so much fun to sort of get the opportunity to tell that story. We were really surprised that it worked out, but because her schedule's so crazy. But she made time for us, and our crew loved her. How did you and Emily Bet Rickards meet? I was on set of Arrow. I was actually interviewing Stephen Amell in his trailer, and we finished the interview, and I said something along the lines of, like, I asked if Emily was there today, because I had just seen a few episodes that she'd done, like her really early season 1 episodes, and loved her, obviously. And I think I literally said to Stephen, he was like, she wasn't there that day, and he was like, no, I'm sorry, she's not here, she's not working today. And I was like, oh, damn, we're destined to be best friends. And he looked at me like I was crazy, because that's usually how Stephen Amell looks at me. He ended up inviting me to come back the next day, because Steve Aoki was coming to sort of DJ a club scene, the big opening of Verdant. And so Stephen and the publicist invited me to come back to see that, because I am a big Steve Aoki fan, like everyone is. And Emily also happened to be a big Steve Aoki fan, And so she came back too. She wasn't working that day either, but she came to see Steve Aoki. And I think I just accosted her and was like, hey, we're going to be best friends. And I think she was a little scared of me, but then we were best friends. I was wearing a sweater with a fox on it, and she was like, hey, nice sweater. And I think she was just being like nice. And I was like, oh, thanks, I got it because Taylor Swift had it. And I think she thought I was insane. But now she's stuck with me. If you have 5 books to read over the summer break, what is at the top of your list? I don't know. I just Instagrammed a picture of a pile of books that I just spent like $200 at Barnes & Noble, which is very irresponsible. But I just Instagrammed a picture of all the books that I'm planning to read over the next 3 weeks of hiatus. The one that I'm reading right now is called Shotgun Love Songs by Nicholas Butler, and it's super good. Highly recommend it. From a fangirl perspective, who are your favorite pairings from the originals and the Vampire Diaries? I can speak from a fangirl perspective about the Vampire Diaries. I'm really liking Stefan and Caroline together right now. I think it's super fun. I can't really speak from a fan perspective on the originals because there's a lot of baggage and work that goes into it, but I will say that I get super fangirly over Josh and Aiden, obviously. Who's your favorite character on the originals to write? Aiden right now. Josh. Do you have a favorite episode? If so, which one? My favorite episode of the original so far is episode 116, which was Rebecca's big exit last season, and we'd been building up to it. We knew Claire was leaving, so we'd been I say we. I was the writer's assistant. I wasn't an actual writer last season, but I felt like part of the team. The writers had been building up to it from the very beginning of the show because we knew Claire was moving on. So it was just a really beautiful, poignant, brilliantly written, brilliantly acted, brilliantly directed send-off for a character that we really, really love. Temporary send-off because she's back. You can have dinner with 5 TV showrunners, writers, producers, etc. Who do you pick? Julie Plec, first of all, because we always have fun at dinner, and I would like to have her there as a buffer to introduce me to all the other ones. Shonda Rhimes, because she's a force of nature, and I just think she's somebody I should know. I feel like I should know her. Greg Berlanti, because I think he's prolific. Obviously, it's not even a matter of an opinion. He's prolific, and I love him. He's so much fun. Sarah Gamble, for reasons I already gushed over, and Mike Narducci, because he's the coolest. That's 5. And Jason Katims, number 6, if I get a number 6. Though I would probably just, cry about Zeke. Who is going to sing Zane's parts now? I recommend Zach Hansen for the job. I also think Chris Kirkpatrick might be available. Just a tip. As a writer, from a writer's perspective, what do you think of the Steroline development? I think it's been phenomenal. If you look back from season 2, it feels like it's been so carefully crafted and so lovingly built. I love it so much. Anyway, the Steroline stuff is really good. I don't know how it's going to end right now, or not end, but I don't know how things are going to feel after they all get their humanity back, because I haven't been reading any Vampire Diaries script this season because I just want to experience it as a fan and watch it. That I love them together. Will Klaus have some love interest in the future? There will be interest. I don't know if there will be love. Can you describe in one word Phoebe Tonkin, Daniel Gillies, and Joseph Morgan? No, I cannot. They contain multitudes. Will Elijah get a bigger storyline? Sorry. Will Elijah get a bigger storyline for season 3? I don't know, but I can say that the last 2 seasons we've been working within sort of a scheduling conflict because Daniel Gillies was on 2 shows. We were sharing him with a show, a Canadian show called Saving Hope, in which he was one of the leads on that show too. So a lot of the time, our Elijah storyline was confined just by the number of days we had him available to us for those episodes. That's not going to be a problem next season because his character died on that show. So unless he, goes off and gets other jobs elsewhere, I think probably Elijah will have a bigger storyline in season 3. Though we haven't talked about season 3 at all yet, so I don't know for sure, but we're on hiatus right now. We get back to it on next Monday. If you could be any character from the originals, who would it be? I always get asked this question, and I always say Cammy, because I like being a human. Will the main focus of the originals always be the importance of family bonds, or will it change with the upcoming season? I don't know, but I hope it will always be family. I think that it's interesting to me that the internet is sort of so crazy about the romantic relationships on our show, because they're sort of the last thing that we talk about in the room. We're really so focused on the family relationships and the different kinds of families that are created, whether they're surrogate families or adopted families or, families of friends. That's sort of where our focus has always been. And I hope it stays that way, because it's, to me, the thing that makes our show really special. Are you still as upset as me that Dan and Blair didn't end up together? No, because Dan was Gossip Girl, and Dan should have ended up alone with no one and in a psych ward, because if he was really Gossip Girl all alone, then he was a sociopath and schizophrenic and multiple personality, and I'm so upset about this. I don't want to talk about it anymore. Could you give us any hint of who is going to die? No, come on, no. What's your favorite music or another hobby of yours except writing? I literally don't have other hobbies. This is all I do. I'm obsessed with my job. My favorite music is country music and guys with guitars, pretty much, and Taylor Swift. Sorry. How difficult is it to write to Klaus, Elijah, and Rebecca? Klaus is not very difficult for me because he's snarky. In my episodes, he tends to be snarky, and I'm snarky. Elijah is very difficult for me because he just speaks so differently from the way that I speak, and I'm always second guessing myself. I said this before. I hope that I get it eventually, but it's one of the things that's the hardest for me on this show, personally. And Rebecca is not difficult for me to write to because she's one of my favorite characters. Have you ever been to Germany/Europe? I've been to Europe. I have not been to Germany, but Danielle Campbell is doing a convention in Germany this summer, and I might tag along with her if the schedules work out. How is working with Daniel Gillies? I'm kidding. It's really fun. 1 to 10, how difficult is it to write an action scene? 10. I'm very bad at fight scenes. I always go knock on the door of Declan DeBarra, who's one of the other writers, and I say, help, I have to write a scene where this person fights this person and this person wins and this person, doesn't end up looking like an idiot, and he'll do it for me because I'm just really bad at it. A romantic scene, not difficult at all. I'm really good at the romantic scenes. My favorite thing is to write big romantic speeches or big heartbreaking speeches. And I think that's the Dawson's Creek fan in me. I just have grown up wanting to write epic romance, and luckily I get to do that a little bit on this show. A critique. I used to have a lot of trouble writing, and now I look back on it and I think, God, that was easy. And I think it's really easy to criticize. It's really easy to look at something without knowing the sort of struggle that went into it and critique it. My opinion on that's changed as I guess my bias has shifted. A comic scene, I don't know. I think I'm funny. My junior year of college, my screenwriting professor told me I was not funny and that I should stick to drama. So, but I think I'm funny. And a dramatic scene, I like the drama. I like the overwrought, music swells, one single tear moments. Those are not difficult for me. Sometimes I have to dial them back a little bit. Favorite Michelson moment. My favorite Michelson moment, I think, is, I don't know. Probably something from episode 16 from Klaus and Rebecca at the end, episode 116. But there's also a Klaus and Rebecca moment coming up in this week's episode, episode 217, which is written by Diana Demijohn and Declan Ibarra, that I love. Nobody writes Klaus and Rebecca quite like Diana Demijohn does. She's phenomenal at it. Any word on your book being released in a physical copy format? No, I don't really know what's going on with that at this point. We're sort of in a weird holding pattern, but as soon as I have information, I promise I'll give it to you, because I'm impatient too. How did you start in the business? What advice would you give to someone chasing similar dreams? The number one piece of advice that I can give you is get to LA. And I know that that's a lot easier said than done for a lot of people. It wasn't easy for me. I drove into LA with like $500 in the bank and no plan whatsoever. But that's, you've got to be here. Yes, there's TV industry elsewhere. There's stuff in Atlanta. There's stuff in Austin. There's stuff in Vancouver. And there's stuff in New York. But in the end, you're going to make it harder on yourself if you're not in LA. What do you think Klaus smells like? Paint, bourbon, and man jewelry. How long do you guys envision the originals lasting on the CW? I think I'm not the person to ask this question of, but I will say I had a lot of fun at the Vampire Diaries 100th episode party, so I hope we get to have one of those. Who is the funniest cast member of the originals? The funniest cast member for me is Colin Waddell, but he's like one of my best friends, so I don't know if everyone else thinks he's funny. I probably just think he's funny. What kind of relationship do you like in film, TV more? Best friends falling in love, from hate to love, love at first sight, or impossible love? I hate love at first sight. I don't believe in it, and I don't like to watch it. I think best friends falling in love, because that's sort of the Dawson and Joey and the Pacey and Joey model is the connection comes before the romance. What's it like to hug Phoebe Tonkin? Terrible. She smells funny. What inspires you when you write? Is it your reality or just your imagination? All things. I have a wild imagination and I have a complicated reality, and it all goes into one. Do you feel a certain competition between the spin-off and the mother show? A little bit. When we play like games against each other, there's a little bit of a competition. But in the end, like when it really comes down to like ratings and stuff, if they're successful, we're successful. And we share an office, we share a kitchen, we love each other's shows. We all watch every episode of everything, and we wouldn't be where we wouldn't exist if it wasn't for them. And I think that they are respectful of the work that we do, and we just really like each other, basically. Writing for a show that has a voice on social media, how do you blend fan requests out? Calling for ship scenes, etc. It's not hard. We have a plan. We like the story that we're telling, and we want the fans, obviously, to be excited about the show, but we're really proud of what we're doing, and we're really confident in the direction that we're going. What's your Buffy favorite character and the Buffy character you would like to be? So I've never watched Buffy, and I understand that like this will send you running for the hills and everyone will hate me. All of my best friends, every time we're all at dinner, it just turns into a conversation about Buffy, and I have to like look at my phone because I have no idea what they're talking about. I'm sorry. It's just not for me. How does your heart still function after all the times you have had it ripped out thanks to your coworkers? I assume you mean like people dying that I love, and my heart is not functioning anymore. It's just a cold, dead lump in my chest. Is Nathan Parsons really that gorgeous? If not, I need makeup tips. He does wear a lot of makeup all of the time. Loves it. Never takes it off. It's a mask, actually. It's like a highly detailed human mask that our makeup department put on. He really looks like a troll. Were the new bodies always part of the plan, or was it due to actor availability, say for Finn and Cole? It was due to actor availability at first, because Nathaniel Bozolic wasn't available to us because he was working on a pilot, and then we didn't know if that pilot was going to get picked up, and we had to shoot our first three episodes of last season early before he knew whether or not his Supernatural spinoff was going to go. So it was actually really interesting because his unavailability to us ended up like leading to sort of our whole concept for the season, which was this idea that Esther wanted to put her vampire children into witch bodies. And it also gave us a chance to play with Daniel Starman, which was really fun. And obviously Yusuf Gatewood, who we're so incredibly grateful to get to work with, and who's only getting more and more amazing. He's so compelling to watch in the next few episodes. I can't wait for you guys to see them. For which show would you love to write other than the originals? I literally never think about this, like, because I love the show that I work on so much, I can't even tell you. The only thought I had is that my friend Beth writes for Arrow, and I feel like it would be really fun to write with Beth specifically. But I love this show. I love writing flashbacks, and I love writing the challenge of writing somebody who talks like Josh, and then writing somebody who talks like Elijah, and then, you know, the complicated nature of the fandom and the passion that people have. I love all of that stuff. Do you have a new book in the works? Yes, and that's all I'm going to say about that, but yes. And I want to know your favorite book. My favorite book is called A Tree Grows in Brooklyn by Betty Smith. I love it so much. Sometimes I just pick it up and open it to a random page and start reading because I've read it a million times, and it's so, so beautiful and so good. I'm sorry this took 40 minutes. I'm sure you all had much, much better things to do with your time, and as do I, because it's a Saturday afternoon. But Originals comes back next Monday, April 6th at 8, and it's such a good episode. And I hope that I answered some of your questions and that you're not mad at me for not answering all the Hey Elijah and Camille and Claylee questions. We love all of the ships. We really do. We're playing. We're finding our way. Love you guys.